Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into something really interesting. We're going to try and map the career, the whole arc of someone truly unique in entertainment. We're talking about the American actress and comedian Molly Shannon.
Yes. And she's fascinating because her career just refuses to sit in one box, doesn't it?
Exactly. It goes all the way from that, high energy, totally physical, sometimes absurd stuff on Saturday Night Live.
Right. The stuff everyone knows.
To these really nuanced, critically acclaimed, and honestly, sometimes heartbreaking dramatic roles she's just nailing today.
That's absolutely the mission here because for so many people listening, you hear Molly Shannon, you probably picture Mary Catherine Gallagher, right, or Sally O'Malley.
Yeah. Icons, total icons of 90s, early 2000s comedy.
For sure. But what we want to do is go a bit deeper than, the tight red pants or that superstar desperation. We want to synthesize this huge career and really focus on the biographical stuff, the things that happen early on that kind of explain everything else.
We're looking for those surprising links, right? How does someone who's a master of, manic performance become this anchor in prestige TV drama?
Precisely. And the sources really suggest that to get her depth now, you absolutely have to look at the beginning.
Yeah, it seems like most of us know her as this brilliant character actor, super funny. But her personal history, especially this foundational tragedy early on, it's apparently essential to understanding the emotional power she brings later.
It really is.
Okay, so let's just nail down the basics first. Molly Shannon, born September 16th, 1964. So as we're recording this in October 2025, she's 61.
Yep.
From Cleveland, Ohio. Got her degree from NYU's Tisch School of the Arts, a BFA back in '87. And she's been working professionally since, 1983.
A long time.
Yeah. And she's married to artist Fritz Chestnut. They married in 2004, and they've got 2 kids.
So that quick overview already tells you 2 things. 1, just how long she's been doing this. And 2, that she had this serious, dedicated training in the arts right from the start with NYU. But the real story, the one that kind of casts a shadow over everything, starts even earlier, back in Ohio.
Okay, let's unpack this. This origin story seems critical. She grew up in, a traditional Irish-American Catholic family in Cleveland.
The sources even give us a little detail on her ancestry. Her mom's parents were born in Ireland. Her grandfather was from Clogmore, Aikill, Carimeo specifically.
So that gives you the backdrop, right? That strong Catholic culture, which definitely feeds into her most famous character later on.
Definitely. But the crucial part, the thing that really defines so much, it's not the environment itself. It's this catastrophic event that just shattered it.
Yeah.
Happened June 1st, 1969. Molly Shannon was only 4 years old.
4? Wow.
This is the defining tragedy. The thing that you can argue shaped her worldview, her resilience, and maybe even that frantic need for attention you see in her early comedy.
Yeah. It's almost impossible to imagine a 4-year-old losing so much. She and her older sister Mary, they survived this horrific car crash, but it killed 3 family members. Her mother, her younger sister Katie, and her cousin Fran.
And the details from the sources are just incredibly stark. Her dad, Jim, was driving them home. They'd been at an all-day party, and he had been drinking.
Okay.
Though the source does note he apparently took a nap before they left. The crash happened about 90 minutes into the drive home that night. The car went off the road, hit a solid steel light pole.
Solid steel. That detail.
Yeah, and the source points out that most poles like that now are breakaway poles, designed to lessen the impact. Back then, not so much. It just underscores how violent it must have been.
It really did. Then there's some ambiguity about the exact cause, too, right? He'd been drinking, but there was no BAC report done at the scene.
Correct. No BAC report was taken, which makes it hard to say definitively. And Shannon herself addresses this in her memoir, Hello, Molly, came out in 2022.
What does she say?
She writes basically, there is no way to know exactly what happened that night, though my gut tells me he fell asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
So that uncertainty hangs there, too.
God, that's heavy.
It is.
Yeah.
But if you connect this biographical trauma to her art, it's profound. Think about it. At 4 years old, she doesn't just lose her mom and sister. Her entire family structure just implodes in an instant. And she survives.
Yeah.
That's not just a sad story point. It almost creates this, creative necessity. You look at the raw emotion she can tap into later in dramas. And you look at the sheer manic intensity, the physicality of her big SNL characters. You could see that as a direct response to surviving. It's this relentless need to live, to be seen, to fill the void left by that massive absence.
It makes sense, that kind of survival instinct manifesting as like hyperactivity or needing affirmation, the need to perform, be loud, be present after experiencing that kind of devastating silence.
Exactly. But okay, before she got loud on SNL, she did follow this very dedicated academic path. St. Dominic's School, then Hawkins School, and then graduating from Tisch at NYU in '87. She was serious about the craft.
Absolutely.
Serious, yes, but, the reality of trying to make it means hustle. And the sources show her early LA life was that classic struggling actor story. She was a hostess at Cravings restaurant on Sunset.
Okay.
And my favorite detail, she worked as a food demo girl at Gelson's Supermarket down in Marina del Rey.
No way! Molly Shannon handing out cheese samples.
Can you picture it? Trying to get shoppers excited about like tiny bits of cracker?
That's amazing. That's the kind of job that builds character. And for a comedian, probably amazing material for observing people.
Totally. The comedic mind is always gathering data, right? But then finally comes the big break, Saturday Night Live.
Okay, so she joins in February 1995. Hired mid-season to replace Jane Garofalo. But that timing, it wasn't just random, it was huge.
Hugely significant, because the mid-90s, that was a time of massive upheaval for SNL.
Right, Lorne Michaels was doing that major overhaul.
A serious, sometimes brutal overhaul.
Ah.
The show was getting criticized, lots of cast members were cycling in and out really fast. But Shannon, she proved herself immediately.
How so?
Well, when that massive cast and writer purge happened before season 21, the 95-96 season, she was one of the very few who got kept on.
Who else stayed?
People who became the anchors of that era. David Spade, Norm Macdonald, Mark McKinney, Tim Meadows, and Molly Shannon.
Just surviving that cut says a lot about what she brought immediately. That unique voice, that energy. She wasn't just useful. She was seen as indispensable.
Totally.
Yeah.
And she didn't just survive. She absolutely flourished. Became a main cast member, ended up doing 117 episodes. She was a cornerstone of that late 90s, early 2000s cast.
Okay, so let's talk about those iconic characters. Because analyzing them through the lens of that early life story, it adds layers, doesn't it?
It really does. These aren't just silly sketches. They're often these highly charged comedic statements, sometimes bordering on like desperation or mania. It's her comedic DNA on display.
So where do we start? It has to be Mary Catherine Gallagher, right?
Absolutely her signature, the one that got its own movie. She's that awkward, outcast Catholic schoolgirl, desperate to be a superstar.
So physical, too. Clumsy, falls over everything, sniffs her fingers after sticking them under her arms.
Yeah. It's all bundled into this ball of manic, awkward, teenage energy. And the key thing is, Shannon actually created and started developing this character way back when she was a student at NYU.
Really? Before SNL?
Long before SNL. Which shows that this core persona, this mix of like intense yearning and physical comedy, was already fully formed.
And that yearning, what does it represent? Mary Catherine Gallagher is basically someone trying way too hard, right? She wants validation, stardom, so badly she almost physically attacks the world, crashes into stuff just to feel something, maybe.
You could definitely read it that way. Like a comedic version of that relentless pursuit of life we talked about, but filtered through intense adolescent anxiety. And yeah, that character was so huge it led straight to the Superstar movie in '99.
Okay, then there's the complete opposite in some ways, Sally O'Malley.
Ah, yes. The proud 50-year-old dancer. The super tight red pants, the big hair, that aggressive confidence.
I'm 50, and I like to kick, stretch, and kick. You can't forget the kick.
Never forget the kick. Sally O'Malley is just pure, blinding, almost defiant self-belief. She shouts her age, demands you respect her physical power.
She's the opposite of Mary Catherine's desperation. She's like total self-actualization, maybe over-actualization.
Yeah, she refuses to show vulnerability, refuses to acknowledge aging, which, again, you could tie back to that theme of survival through sheer, aggressive forward motion. Keep moving, keep kicking.
And then there's the one that always felt like it was just barely holding something back. Helen Madden, the joyologist.
Oh, Helen Madden. Pure, relentless, almost weaponized exuberance.
I love it, I love it, I love it.
That catchphrase is basically an emotional force field, isn't it?
Yeah.
She just bombards any awkwardness or negativity with this tsunami of over-the-top positivity, like she's running from stillness, from thinking too much.
It's a great example of how forced cheerfulness can be just as funny and maybe unsettling as pratfalls. It's very stylized emotion.
Totally. But the sources also point out her range away from the big physical characters.
Yeah.
Like Terry Rialto?
Ah, yes. From the NPR show Delicious Dish with Anna Gasteyer. So dry.
So dry. And the genius of those sketches, I mean, everyone remembers the Sweaty Balls one with Alec Baldwin.
But classic.
The genius was in the subtlety. It was all about the deadpan reactions, the slightly suppressed horror at the double entendres, the awkward pauses. It proved Shannon could do more than just explode outwards. She could implode perfectly, too.
And there were others, too, right? Showing that versatility.
Oh, yeah. Circe Nightshade,
Yeah.
goth talk show host with Chris Kattan. Miss Colleen from the dog show sketches with Will Ferrell. And remember Jeannie Darcy?
The stand-up comedian with the mullet who was deliberately painfully unfunny.
Yes. Whose only punchline was always, "Don't get me started, don't even get me started." The joke was her complete lack of timing.
So you look at that whole spectrum. Hyperphysical Gallagher, deadpan Rialto, manic Madden. It shows this incredible command over different kinds of emotional intensity.
Exactly. And that command is precisely what lets her make that pivot later on.
We should also mention the impressions. She did a ton.
A huge range. The sources list musicians, actors, public figures. It's pretty diverse.
Like who?
Well, think about jumping from, like, the breathy country style of Shania Twain to the old-school theatricality of Ann Miller or Elizabeth Taylor.
Okay, that's range.
Then she could capture the raw energy of Janis Joplin, the pop vibes of Madonna or Gwen Stefani. And she tackled public figures like Monica Lewinsky and even later did a very memorable Melania Trump.
What ties those together? Is it just mimicry?
I think it's more than that.
Yeah.
It feels like she captures the energy of the person, whether that energy is wild and physical or super restrained and controlled. It's deep character work, not just a sophist impression. That skill set is foundational for her later dramatic work. She can fully transform.
Yeah, makes sense. She left SNL as a main cast member in 2001, but she didn't just disappear from that world.
Not at all. The relationship stayed strong. She came back to host on May 12, 2007, and that was a big deal.
Why was it significant?
She was only the second former female cast member ever to host. And, crucially, the first one who'd been hired during Lorne Michaels' second run.
Ah, okay.
And she came back for other big moments, too, like a Mother's Day episode in 2010 and the Women of SNL special that same year.
That shows how important she was to the show's legacy. But even while she was still there, and definitely after, she was already branching out, diversifying her career.
Oh, yeah, that diversification started early. Let's look at some of that early work, because it shows her hustle trying things across different genres.
Okay.
Her first major film role, believe it or not, wasn't a comedy at all. It was Meg in the 1989 horror remake of The Phantom of the Opera.
With Robert Englund.
Ah, wow, okay, definitely not where you'd expect her to start.
Yeah.
Right. And she had some really interesting, kind of quirky early TV spots, too. Like in 1991, she popped up in Twin Peaks Season 2.
No way. As who?
As the happy helping hand lady.
Yeah.
A tiny, memorable part in that very surreal world. A real deep cut for Lynch fans.
That's amazing. And she was also doing other sketch comedy before SNL.
Yeah. Before she landed the SNL gig, she was in 3 episodes of In Living Color back in '93. Did a sketch with Jim Carrey, Star Trek parody. She was already in that top-tier comedy circuit.
So once SNL hit and she became famous, the movie roles started coming more steadily, often as a really strong supporting player, right?
Exactly. Often stealing scenes in ensemble casts. The late 90s were busy. She was in Todd Solondz' dark film Happiness in '98. The ensemble actually won an award for that from the National Board of Review.
Okay, so serious drama cred early on, too.
Mixed right in with pure comedy. Same year, '98, she's in A Night at the Roxbury with Pharrell and Kattan. Then '99, she's Anita in Never Been Kissed with Drew Barrymore. She could just switch between those modes.
And she was everywhere in the early 2000s, like How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yep, 2000, playing Betty Lou Who. And then a certified cult classic, Wet Hot American Summer in 2001.
Oh, Gail von Kleinenstein, the arts counselor who's always crying.
Yes, and that role is perfect, Shannon. Grounding total absurdity with genuine, even if it's ridiculously misplaced, emotion. Crying over a talking can of vegetables.
It's brilliant.
And don't forget Talladega Nights in 2006. In a lot of these films, she plays characters who are just operating at a slightly higher, maybe more chaotic, emotional pitch than everyone else. That became her comedic sweet spot for a while.
And on TV, she had some really memorable recurring roles, too.
Definitely. Probably the biggest was Val Bassett on Will and Grace, Grace's slightly unhinged neighbor and rival.
She was hilarious in that.
Appeared in 5 episodes of the original run, came back for the revival too. She also popped up in Sex and the City for a few episodes as Lily Martin. And later, in 2010, she was in Glee playing Brenda Castle. Sue Sylvester's rival.
Her voice work is another whole area, too, showing that versatility again.
Yeah, that's a consistent thread. She did the English voiceover for Studio Ghibli's My Neighbors the Yamadas back in 2005. Voice characters in Osmosis Jones, Igor.
But the big one is Hotel Transylvania, right?
That's the huge one. Playing Wanda the Werewolf Mom across 4 films from 2012 all the way to 2022. That's a decade of consistent voice work in a major franchise. Huge exposure to a family audience. Requires totally different skills than physical comedy.
Speaking of different skills, but maybe back towards comedy, that bizarre and brilliant partnership with Will Ferrell as Tish and Cord.
Oh, Cord Hosenbeck and Tish Cadigan. Yes. Fictional local TV personalities. It's genius.
They hosted the Rose Parade coverage for Amazon in 2018.
They did. And then they did the Royal Wedding Live with Cord and Tish for HBO that same year.
That whole concept is just a masterclass in commitment, isn't it? Staying completely in character, treating these huge live events with this perfect mix of, like, fake reverence and total cluelessness.
It requires such trust between them, probably built back in their SNL days. And it shows that even as she was starting to explore more serious drama, she wasn't abandoning comedy. She was just getting more specific, more stylized with it.
Okay, this feels like the perfect transition, because now we get to what's arguably the most compelling part of her story, the shift towards serious drama, critical acclaim. This is where you really see the evolution.
Absolutely. And it wasn't like flipping a switch overnight. You can trace a lot of it back to one key collaborator.
Yeah.
Writer-director Mike White.
Ah, interesting. How so?
Well, she first showed that more dramatic side in his film Year of the Dog back in 2007.
Mike White's known for characters who are often dealing with, like, quiet desperation or suppressed stuff, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That slightly uncomfortable, emotionally fraught territory seems to be where Shannon's ability for contained performance really started to shine.
And their partnership continued.
Big time. Well, the HBO series Enlightened in 2013, critically loved show. Shannon played Eileen Foliente, who becomes the love interest for Mike White's character.
I remember that role. It was quieter, different.
It was a revelation. Really showed her delivering genuine, subtle emotion miles away from the big SNL gestures, and it got noticed. She earned an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Guest Actress for that role.
So that was the industry saying, okay, wait a minute, she can do this too.
Pretty much. But the role that truly cemented her status as a serious dramatic actor, the one that brought major awards, that was the 2016 film Other People.
Right. Playing Joanne Mulcahy, a mother dying of cancer.
Yeah, and that role required her to strip away all the comedic armor. Joanne is about vulnerability, fatigue, quiet pain, resilience. The total opposite of a Helen Madden or Sally O'Malley. The performance was just universally praised for being so real, so human.
And the recognition was huge for that one.
Immense. She won the 2017 Film Independent Spirit Award for Best Supporting Female.
That's a big one. The Spirit Awards carry a lot of weight in the indie film world.
Absolutely. It's serious peer and critical recognition for her dramatic chops.
Yeah.
She got nominated by other critics groups, too. This wasn't just a side project anymore. This was a genuine career pivot.
And since then, she's just been a fixture in high-profile quality TV, often in roles that blend comedy and drama.
Exactly. She's become this incredibly reliable, sought-after actor for complex roles.
Let's run through some of that recent work, because the quality is amazing. She was a main cast member in Divorce with Sarah Jessica Parker from 2016 to 2019, played Diane, the pragmatic friend. That show required real dramatic weight.
Definitely. Then she gave what I think is one of her absolute best performances as Pat Duback in the other two.
She's fantastic in that. The mom.
Right. The super supportive, slightly naive mom, swept up in her kid's crazy fame. Pat is so inherently decent, but she's constantly in way over her head. It's such a nuanced, performance-loving, bewildered, funny, sad. She got multiple Critics' Choice nominations for that.
And the Mike White connection continued with The White Lotus, season 1.
Yep, 2021. She played Kitty Patton, the wealthy mom who crashes her son's honeymoon. A perfect small role showcasing that kind of passive-aggressive privilege. Earned her a nomination overseas, too, a Pina de Prada.
And she starred with another SNL alum, Vanessa Bayer, in I Love That For You.
Yeah, 2022. Playing Jackie Stilton, the veteran home shopping network host. It was great seeing them together, and that role blended her comedy chops with a more grounded, mentoring vibe. Got another Independent Spirit nomination for that one.
And just recently, 2024, she joined the cast of Only Murders in the Building for season 4.
As Bev Mellon, yeah. And her being part of that incredible ensemble directly contributed to them winning the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Ensemble in Comedy Series this year.
So in her 60s, she's still right at the center of things, working on hit shows, winning major awards with top ensembles. It's incredible.
It really is. She's consistently working at the highest level across genres. It proves that the range she showed back at SNL wasn't just about sketches. It was this deep well of talent just waiting for the right dramatic opportunities.
Okay, before we wrap up, let's just touch on a couple of other things that round out the picture. Her writing, for instance.
Yes, the literary work is important, especially her memoir, Hello, Molly, from 2022, because it directly connects back to that defining tragedy.
How so?
She really uses that childhood loss and her subsequent search for connection and meaning as the central thread for understanding her life and career.
Yeah.
It's very open about how grief fueled her drive. And on a totally different note, she also wrote a children's book, Tilly the Trickster, back in 2011.
So from deep personal reflection to kids' books. That range again.
Always the range.
And just summarizing the awards trajectory, it really tells the story, doesn't it? Early nominations reflecting mass appeal, like for Superstar or Grinch. Emmy nods for SNL, then later for those key guest spots on Enlightened, Will and Grace.
Right, but then the shift becomes clear with those major wins later on. The Spirit Award for Other People in 2017 is the big marker for dramatic recognition. Add that to the Early Ensemble Award for Happiness and the very recent SAG Award for the Only Murders Ensemble. She's now recognized both for that early, almost solo comedic genius and for her crucial role within sophisticated ensembles.
And she's not stopping. The sources say she's got several projects completed or in post-production now. Driver's Ed, People We Meet on Vacation, Balls Up, she's still going full steam.
She's pulled off something incredibly rare, being a beloved, iconic comedian whose characters literally defined a generation of sketch comedy.
Right.
And becoming a highly respected, award-winning dramatic actor known for subtlety and emotional depth. It's really a story of profound, maybe even exuberant resilience.
So let's try and synthesize this for everyone listening. We've traced this amazing path from Cleveland, that devastating early tragedy, through serious training at NYU, then exploding onto the scene with these huge physical characters at SNL like Mary Catherine Gallagher and Sally O'Malley. And finally arriving at her current status as this incredibly respected, subtle, powerful, dramatic force.
And if we loop back to that central idea, think about Helen Madden again, the joyologist.
I love it, I love it, I love it.
Exactly. That character's almost aggressive, insistence on joy, on positivity. I love it. It's more than just a funny catchphrase, isn't it? It feels like an emotional strategy.
I mean,
Like that constant, almost compulsive need for high-level outward positivity, that refusal to slow down or acknowledge anything negative. You could absolutely see that as a deep-seated survival mechanism, a really powerful performative defense against the immense pain and silence she must have experienced as a child. In that light, the comedy itself becomes this act of profound, necessary, and, exuberant resilience.
wow. Connecting the joyologist's relentless positivity directly back to that childhood trauma that sheds a whole new light on it. Which brings us perfectly to our final thought for you, the listener, today. We've seen how Molly Shannon clearly channeled enormous personal tragedy into that incredibly physical, often absurd comedy that made her famous early on. Now, if laughter often serves as a response to pain or maybe a shield against it, think about specific elements in her most famous characters, like Mary Catherine Gallagher's desperate, almost painful yearning to be a superstar, or Sally O'Malley's frantic, relentless need to kick, stretch, and kick. Can you see those as direct, creative expressions of surviving that childhood loss, that relentless pursuit of visibility, of life itself that had to follow? And maybe ask yourself, does the profound dramatic depth she accesses now only become possible once the comedian learns how, or feels safe enough, to finally lower that shield of exaggerated performance? Something to think about.